Brethren, I pray you sing to the Lord a new song. Sing praise in the assembly of the righteous. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud on their beds. Let the high praise of God be on the mouths of the saints and a two-edged sword in their hand to execute vengeance on the demonic nations and punishments on those peoples, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute on them this written judgment. This honor have all his saints. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Sing to him a new song. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
All these pains in the world. How long? Tell me.
Don't ask me just
How
like that.
I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the great and one and only Elohim of Israel. Shalom and blessings to all my brothers and sisters, my kinsmen according to the flesh who are Israelites, to whom pertain the adoption, the glory, the covenants, the giving of the law, the service of Elohim, and the promises, whose are the fathers, and of whom as concerning the flesh our Mashiach came, who is over our Elohim blessed. Hope y'all good and well. The Abrahamic religions, the worship of other gods. I'm sure most people are familiar with that term, that reference, the Abrahamic religions, and what it's talking about: Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. When it comes to these three religions, what we want to show you is that what's going on in essence is the worship of one God in many different forms. And so when you look at Christianity, when you look at Judaism, you look at Islam, you're seeing the same God being worshiped in different ways depending on those religions. We've heard that our religions are the same. Our religious books are the same, and these are things that when you hear them, it's supposed to numb you to the truth that when you in these religions, you worshiping other gods. And we're going to be pretty much piggybacking off what the video we did last night. I don't know if y'all were on Kadar's channel. Most of you were. They dealt with Christianity being the way to the lake of fire, the broad road to the lake of fire. In that video, the brother Josiah read some things about Christianity from the AI, pretty much broke down what Christianity is as opposed to the Bible. And we concluded that Christianity is not biblical. That was pretty much the sum of that. And so we're going to look at some things tonight, show you some roots of what we're dealing with. When the Most High said, we would worship other gods? Was he leaving that up to choice and chance, or was he being direct and letting us know that this is something that would happen? And is this happening, and to what magnitude is it happening? We're going to try to look at some of that. What's going on, brothers?
Shalom, shalom. All praise to the Most High. Get ready to get it in. I'm, being in Christianity, debated is people out of Islam, um, even basically debated people out of Judaism. So this is something how you have so-called religions, they all following the same thing. And they all had so-called black people. And they still do follow these religions. So all praise to the Most High that we are waking up. We're not doing it, but we're still trying to wake our people up and get them out of this stuff, these religions.
What's going on, y'all? Shalom and blessing. All praise to the Most High, Messiah, Holy Spirit, Spirit of truth. Shalom to the 12 tribes, Negroes, to the family in the chat. Shalom. My fault, y'all. Let's get it. But I will say about those three religions, all of them share a common heritage and belief in one God, so-called, although they may have different names or concept of this one God. And they all say that they trace their lineage back to Abraham. That's what all three religions have in common. They all say that they trace their lineage back to Abraham.
Yeah. What I was hoping rather you could bring that out, what you read last night about Christianity. And because I thought that was sort of
refresh that.
Yeah, if you don't mind doing that.
Yeah.
Y'all heard from the video yesterday the things that we brought out about Christianity, how it's an institution. And just on that note alone, there's no institution that you spend the rest of your life in except a prison, and you have to do something worthy of that to be, there for the rest of your life. But institutions are designed for you to learn what you need to learn, then move on to the next step, the next level in your life. When you look at a lot of the institutions, the Christian institutions, Islamic institutions, and even some of our brothers and sisters, in the camps, the One West camps, and some of the other Israelite camps, when you look at these institutions and you become part of these institutions, one thing that you sort of grow to see is that it's only so much you can learn. And once you learn so much to a certain point, if you go beyond that point, now you're in the fence of whatever position or doctrinal stance that institution takes. And all you're trying to do is further your knowledge, your understanding. So it's only so much you can learn in the institution. Mashiach told Peter, flesh and blood have revealed this unto you. Flesh and blood have not revealed this unto you, rather. But my Father in heaven, when he proclaims him to be the Christ, the Mashiach, the Son of the true and living God, he said that only the Father in heaven can reveal that to you. And so, and even in some of these religious institutions, if you're really a sincere person and you're trying to learn and grow, the Most High leads you, even in those institutions, to what you need to retain. Once it's time for you to grow in your knowledge, he'll lead you in that direction as well. Whether it be separating, whether it be, continuing on in your walk and in your understanding, whatever that may be. But yeah, if you can do that, bro, if y'all got any more thoughts on that, if you can bring that out, man, that'll be epic. I'm gonna greet the chat. We got my love guy in the chat. Shalom. Always a blessing. We got Brother Robert Shalom, brother Robert. Good to see you in the
Hey,
chat.
that's not fair. She a moderator.
Who that?
Your wife, she a moderator. That's not fair.
You hear that, babe? I gotta take your wrench. Got a conflict of interest going on.
3-on-3, y'all.
Yeah, we had it.
Shalom, Sister Yvette. Good to see you in the chat. Got Sister Regina Bird. Shalom, Sister Regina. Always a blessing.
What scripture
to
is that?
For real. Zuriah. She say, Shalom, family. Good to see you in the chat, Zuriah. We got who else we got? Got Hebrew Elevation Church. Shalom, my brother out there in the UK. Good to see you, bro. I know it's probably late out there too. Where you at? Daughter of the Most High. Shalom. Good to see you in the chat. Brother Yohanan. Good to see you in the chat, bro. Hope you're doing good and well. Miss T. Adams. Shalom to you. Good to see you in the chat. Check out 78 Vet. Y'all done got her started. She say nepotism. Because my wife got a wrench. See, babe, I gotta take your wrench now. I gotta do it.
Somebody agree with me.
Got Amir. What's going on, brother Amir? Good to see you in the chat. Brother Yash, what's going on? I was thinking about you earlier, man.
Yeah, man. Shalom, 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 everybody. Man. Okay,
good, Yash.
Listen. I miss you must have been on my mind too, because I missed what you said, man. But I was watching, right? How the Most High set that land over there on fire, man.
Oh, Israel, yeah.
Yeah, yo, let me tell you something, man.
Still burning.
To the white meat, man. All I could do is just praise the Most High, man. All I could do is just praise him, man. I was like, man, and people got the nerve to act like we can't praise him for what he's doing. I'm like, what the, you know what I'm saying? This is a big thing. Burning them out, flooding them out, bombing them out. Man, this is a big thing. And he took down the plantation to let us know that the U.S., the plantation of the USA is going to get is next.
Man. And even with that, the plantation thing, right? I haven't really looked deep into it, but I'm hearing that a lot of people are upset and saddened that the plantation is burned, saying that because it's an important part of history that's, you know, been destroyed and burnt down, and they want to rebuild it.
Well, that's their history. There ain't nothing left to rebuild. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing left for them to rebuild. The Most High is busting them to the white meat, and we know who that is. And of course, they're going to get a coon face. But history of what? The history of the misery? You know what I'm saying? They sitting up there acting like that was a fun place to be in. Of all the plantations, that was the one you'd want to be on. That was the last one you wanted to be on. That's why them Louisiana dudes different. You know what I'm saying? Different.
Indeed. I'm looking up this scripture I want to bring out. Y'all got anything y'all want to bring out? Y'all already know what it is.
Shalom, y'all. Nice singing, man.
Yeah, I was listening to y'all last night. Man, it's just been real busy, man. And I had to get up like, you know how that I'm on that 4 jump like you. I was like, oh man. But all I could do was lay there.
Ain't nobody after you.
Nah.
Ain't nobody after you, Josh, is it?
Nah, ain't nobody after me, man. I'm after that paper. And I ain't really after that
Yeah.
paper, man. It's like it's right now. It's presenting it. This is it. It's throwing itself at me, and I really can't turn it down. Wish I could, but I
Yeah,
guess Most High got me in a good place. Or listen, just I don't give a damn. Stack my chips now, because we don't know what's gonna happen with this food running the show.
yeah. Definitely get it while it's good for sure.
Get it while the getting's good, but it's only gonna get better for us, y'all.
Yep.
What scripture
See,
is that?
I'm talking about. See,
No, I'm
hey,
playing.
listen. It just size. See, because ain't nothing like the way. Listen, they done tampered with our book so bad, man. That's why ain't nothing happening like the way we expect. We've been misdirected, but but at the same time, he's showing him, he's busting him to the right. I mean, he right before our very eyes, like he said.
Man. So what you thought about the video last night? Did you
It was deep, man. Y'all was going in, and I ain't really got no buts. It was one of those, like I said, I had to get up real early in the morning, so I was like in and out on it, in and out. But I was in, man. I must have, you know what? I watched the whole thing and I was out of it. You know?
yeah.
I have to see it again, but I seen the whole thing, but I was out of it at the same time. That
Yes.
real early. I don't know how I pulled that off.
Yeah, for real.
I made it to the end and ain't seen nothing.
He say the Most High shaking his hand on them heathens, but
He is.
check this out. It's Deuteronomy 28:64. It says, and Yahuwah shall scatter thee among all people.
Hey, that's crazy.
Go ahead.
That's crazy. You was going. I had that script. Nah, I had this scripture lined up. Go ahead, read it though. That's perfect.
I'm gonna read it, then I'm gonna let you.
Because the man. Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna read it, then you can expound. Because the whole point that we dealing with is when the Most High said we would serve other gods. What did he mean in particular by that? We understand, Sunday worship and the holidays and different things like that. But biblically, what constitutes worship to the Most High? What did he tell Israel to do, in order to remain in his favor, in order to remain in the land?
Laws and statutes and commandments.
Say it again.
That's what he had to do. It wasn't even grievous.
Say it again, Yash.
Yeah, he was like, really what it was be true to your people and be true to me. And I'll be true to you. But if y'all be a savage unto me, I'm gonna be even more of a savage to you.
Right.
And that's what happened.
And that's the long and the short of it, right?
Yeah.
So it says, Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other, right? That part, he gonna scatter us among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other. So if he's scattering us among the people, separating us from our land, what does that mean by default in terms of our classification at that point?
We are a land without a people and a people without a land. We are refugees. I don't know what the hell. I guess we refugees.
Yeah, we have
world's refugees.
We have discontinued from our heritage. Once the Most High scattered us out of the land, we have just discontinued from our heritage.
We have none.
And we will be reckoned among those nations where we were scattered, right?
Yeah.
We be called bywords.
It says, all right, he gonna scatter us among the people, right? And there, meaning there, wherever you scattered, thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Even wood and stone, including wood and stone,
Indeed, wood and stone.
right?
Most certainly wood and stone.
Because we're going to show you that the God that's really behind this nation represents all of this wood, stone, and even in a so-called spiritual sense, right?
But check this out, Ibri, before you even go there, because it's all going to add up to it anyway. It also means that whatever you believe, it's going whatever you believe, you're going to follow that. Whatever you believe, and that's what our people do. Whatever they believe, even if you don't believe, you're going to follow that. All of it's idolatry.
Down to the lowest degree, right?
Yeah,
It's all idolatry.
down to the self.
And it says, and among these nations thou shalt find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. Right? Now, among these nations thou shalt find no ease.
Where I'm at right now.
Neither shall the sole of your foot have rest. Now,
Where I'm at. Yep.
what would cause you to not have rest?
All this damn money. This on it.
Tribulation.
Let me mute myself.
What's going on now?
But that's true. When they throwing that money at you, man, you up. You getting 3-4 hours sleep a night. You're tired, your body hurt.
For real, man. That devil's a mother, man.
Hey, money costs, right?
You ain't lying. It costs big time.
It says, but Yahweh shall give thee there a trembling heart, failing eyes, and sorrow of mind. Having to work so much, being in doubt of your life, your job always on the line. Everything you do is a threat for either a write-up or a termination.
You know what?
Constantly changing rules. Go ahead.
And you know what I was thinking of too? I was thinking of earlier before I got on here. I was thinking this place got acoustics. It's like I'm sitting in a damn echo chamber. But anyway, I was thinking about those slaves on that plantation though. And then after slavery was over, he telling them, they might as well, they can stay on with him. He can't beat them no more, but he can pay them this and that. And then when they go to work, but he didn't tell them, see, because they were slaves their whole life. He didn't tell them that, you're going to work for me and I'm going to pay you, but you're going to have to buy clothes, food. You're going to have to buy, look for your place to stay. I might let you, give you a couple months to get on your feet. But after that, you know what I'm saying? Nah, what they did was continue buying them clothes, giving them food, letting them eat the food, feeding them and all this other stuff. And then when it's time to pay them, telling them, you owe me. And had them in another type of slip. You owe me.
Messed the game up big time.
Mm-hmm.
Brother T, what's going on? But yeah, man, when you look at that, right, and this is just one example of it. There's many examples of where it's talking about failing of eyes, trembling heart, sorrow of mind. Think about what they went through from slavery all the way up to now, you know, having to worry about what's going to happen to them at night, being harassed by the taskmasters, you know, the women being raped and children being raped and all kind of stuff.
And that's another reason why, and all that is true. And we even grew up in this because anything could have happened to us. We're right now. We're at the point where we finally getting a chance to breathe. We finally, as a people, getting a chance to breathe, and which in the Most High just got us just chilling.
Hmm.
We finally got a chance to breathe. And they running around all scared. We don't even care because we already knew what this junk was going to be anyway. We good.
Hmm.
And people even want you to feel guilty about being good. We get out of here.
Yeah.
The only reason why we good is because listen. On the race to the bottom, y'all gonna run into us. You know what I'm saying?
They're gonna hit the bottom so hard it's gonna knock us up.
and yo, man, it's crazy, but that's a fact.
Like that.
It's never been spoken, my brother. I'm telling you, it's a fact.
Damn. Kadar Josiah, y'all got anything? This is, you know, the worship of other gods goes deeper than what religion has taught us. What y'all think?
Yeah, even within Christianity itself, when I was, of course, I grew up in Christianity, and you got people telling you you called to preach and you doing that, right? And so that could be believable. Everybody saying the same thing to you. However, when I used to stand up to preach in Christian, I was the nervous. I'm telling you, I ain't never been that nervous in my life. I I've never been scared to stand up in front of a crowd. But when it comes to Christianity, I've always been nervous. You
Hmm.
know, and I could never figure it out because when I was around, when I came out of high school, my first job I had, I was accounts manager, and I opened up, helped open up about 4 or 5 stores with the company called Primetime Rentals. I was the one that did the grand opening, the big mouth and all. So I couldn't understand why I was so nervous when it comes to Christianity. Now I understand. Number one, I didn't know what I was talking about. Number two, it was a religion based on white Jesus. And number three, when you look at the laws, they say the law is done away with. So when you ask Christianity what is sin, they can't they just say disobeying God. They don't even know what sin is. So them three things caused me to be very frightened, nervous. And now I look back and I'm glad I was. Because I sure was never confident in Christianity like I am in this group. Because we was worshiping white Jesus, a false job, false God. Oh yeah, and money. Times.
Hello, you said you was glad you was nervous.
Now, yeah, now,
Yeah.
if I would have been confident in it, I probably would never left it. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Yeah.
When you look at Judaism, Islam, Christianity, you see a connection, and Psalms 83 come to mind because all three of them has a connection, and it's all about replacing Israel. It talks about how they took crafty counsel against our hidden ones, and they said, "Come, let us cut them off for being a nation." What other good way but to use religion? Because they know our people are already spiritual with our God. So, what other crafty counsel would you come up with besides religion to trick, the true Israelites or the attending audience that religion or God is for everybody else, or their God is for everybody else? And that's what Judaism do, because Judaism accept everybody, Christianity accept everybody, and Islam accept everybody.
That's deep. I wanna I want to finish this out. Then I want to bring that up to that Psalms 83. Uh, it says, "And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, Would Elohim it were even, and at even thou shalt say, Would Elohim it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you." Now, all of this is a result of what the Most High said right here, him scattering us among the nations. And if we read up further, it'll tell us, I think it's in verse 45, it says, "Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever, because thou servest not Yahweh thy Elohim with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and thirst and nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee." So this is happening.
And you know what?
Go ahead.
You know what?
I hear you, brother Yash. Go ahead.
And I think your thing is yeah. Okay, because you keep buffering on my end. But yeah. What was I gonna say? Tell you it. And I was glad that I didn't have to go through that. That he woke me, like he had me, he raised me up in the time when we was mad. Because of all that stuff that they did. And all that's just to say, because I'm on this old, my thing is, if you anything else but in the truth, then it's a sad, it's got to be a sad feeling, because we're getting a chance to rejoice. And that's what I was going to say. And I get mad that, I mean, it was so serious of us just keeping his commandments, his laws, his statutes, and his commandments, that he pronounced all these curses which had come to pass upon our people. And we still have brethren who want to dismiss it like it was a light thing, thinking that they deep and don't know. That's even borderline blasphemy. That is blasphemy. Our people don't know what blasphemy is. That is it too. Blasphemy has several different forms. The highest form is denying that we are the Most High's children. That's the highest form of blasphemy. because we was birthed by the Ruach.
Check this out.
That's it.
Check this out. All of this is happening as a result of us serving other gods. All these curses that we under. In other words, this would be the reward of our service to these other gods. We would be distressed, we would be downtrodden, we would be afflicted, and these gods will be a snare to us. They will be a spoil to us, right? And in every nation where you see our people, we're at the bottom because we're doing what the Most High said we will be doing by default. Now, let's look at Jeremiah 17 real quick. Then we'll look at Psalm 83. Jeremiah 17. All right. This is one I like to bring out because I think this one, it sums it up. You understand? Once you realize who we are, who our people are, and the condition that we're in, this sort of sums up why we're in the condition that we're in. It says, and thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. Right? He said, thou shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. When Christians talk about the law and the law is done away with, what they're not helping us understand is that the law was actually the heritage and the culture that the Most High gave to Israel in order for them to remain in the land. In other words, in order to remain in this land, you have to live by this order, these customs. If this happened, this is the judgment for this action. If this judgment is not carried out, then this will bring a curse on the people of the land. This is what you eat. This is what you don't eat. These are the celebratory days. This is how you cultivate the animals and the crops. All of this is a part of the heritage. In any culture, any nation you go to, you'll run into laws, statutes, judgments that's required to live in those lands. If you go outside of that, then you'll face whatever penalty they have in place for that. You know, if you travel overseas and you have marijuana with you or any type of marijuana paraphernalia in those countries, there may be a penalty for that. You know, and right now as we speak, from my understanding, there's a young brother going through that in another country, facing debt, you know, for that possession, you know. But that's just an example of how different nations deal with things differently. Within our heritage and culture, mostly everything in this heritage and culture will not be allowed. A lot of things that within this culture you won't be stoned or penalized for, within our culture, you know, it's the opposite. That's what we've been separated from. We're separated from that, and now we're living in these nations and keeping the customs, the laws, and everything of these nations. We're employed, you know, by companies that pay us wages based on the different things, the different orders that they have established on a higher level. You see what I'm saying? All of this is a form of worship. And the Most High right here is saying that you're going to discontinue from that and you're going to serve. He says, I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. So when we look at Jeremiah 12, it says that concerning the nations, if they will diligently learn the ways of my people and swear by my name, as they taught my people to swear by Baal, right? It's the same thing right here. Our enemies, when we're restored, they will be in service to us. The same way we were in service to our enemies. We're in service to them, in essence, putting them in service to our God, or them putting us in service to their gods. The orders that they set up is set up by the gods that they worship, and we're in service under those orders. We're the sacrifice that's causing them to thrive and to be wealthy and to wax rich. Y'all got any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Part of our heritage, I'm pretty sure y'all agree. I'm pretty sure it's a scripture. Matter of fact, it said, "My people are called by my name," right? So part of our heritage was our name, right? That was part of our heritage. They say we would lose everything, right? So when we look at Daniel chapter 1, we start at the verse 3.
Daniel what?
Daniel chapter 1. I'm just going to start at verse 3.
Okay.
It's when the Israelites went into Babylon. It's very important because when we look what happened to us, we're going to see it's the same thing. And the king spoke unto Ashpen, the master of the eunuch, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel and of the king's seed and of the princes, children in whom was no blemish, but well favored, skillful in all wisdom, and cunning in knowledge and understanding science, such as has ability in them to stand in the king's place, and whom they might teach and learn and tongues of the Chaldeans. Right? Verse 5. And the king appointed them daily provisions of the king's meat, of the wine which they drink, so nurturing them 3 years, that at the end thereof they might stand before the king. Verse 6. Now among these were the children of Judah, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Uzziah, unto whom the prince of the eunuch gave names. Now look, and to whom the prince of the eunuch gave names. For he gave unto Daniel the name of Belshazzar, Hananiah Shadrach, Meshach, and to Uzziah Abednego. So they changed their names. And this is a same thing that happened to us in what? America and around the world. We still burn the names of our slave masters to this day. I just seen that. I know we ain't really talking about that, but it's just a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence that we are the people. But we had the names are changed because why you think they changed the name? Each one of our names represent the Most High. So they want us to bow down and worship, that statue in Babylon.
Yep. Yeah, and another good example of this is with Joseph. When he was elevated, Pharaoh changed his name. Changed his name and then gave him the royal robe and the signet, gave him a wife, So this is a common theme with our people, changing the names, basically to reflect, like you said, reflect their gods and their culture. You know, anybody else? Y'all got anything?
Also, our names reflect their gods, right now.
Yeah.
Man.
I said
Said
they
they,
changed the Messiah's name. These people don't give a damn.
yeah,
You are
they did
exactly right.
They don't give a damn.
change his
Hey, can I
image.
read something real quick?
Indeed, for sure. What you got?
Deuteronomy 31, start at verse 16. The Most High knew exactly what he would do to us,
Hmm.
make us serve other gods. Watch this. And the Lord said unto Moses, Behold, thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, and this people will rise up and go a whoring after the gods of the strangers of the land, whether they go to me among them. And I will forsake them, and break my covenant which I have made with them. So the Most High said He's gonna break the covenant what He made with them. Did He not just say that? And I'm reading that wrong. He
Says
said, and break my covenant. Oh, they broke the covenant, right?
to say whether they go be among them and will forsake me and break my covenant which I made with them.
Which I made with. Okay,
Hmm.
so then my anger shall be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them, and I will hide my face from them, and they shall be devoured. Translating slave trade. And many evils and trouble shall befall them, so that they will say in that day, Are not these evils come upon us, because our God is not among us? And I will surely hide my face in that day, for all the evils which they have wrought, and that they are turned to other gods. So I read this because the Most High already knew when Moses, he said Moses is gonna die, you're gonna see what your fathers. And I already know that these people gonna go up and worship other gods, and I'm gonna put them in trouble or make evil. That could be talking about Judaism, Christianity, I could be talking about all of that. You get what I'm saying? These are all the gods that the Most High sent us one. Then he said he will save us from among all these gods one day.
Hmm. Man, it's I like that passage. And when we look at Jubilees, for instance, this comes to mind as you was reading that, because this goes into detail what he was telling them right here. It says, Behold, thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, and this people will rise up and go whoring
We'll
after
rise up.
the gods of the strangers of the land, whether they go to be among them, and will forsake me and break my covenant which I made with them. So he's telling Moses pretty much this is gonna happen, man. This is gonna happen. Right? This is not left to choice or chance. This is gonna happen. Look at what it's saying, Jubilees. All right. It says, and I shall hide my face. This is chapter 1, verse 13. I shall hide my face from them, and I shall deliver them into the hand of the Gentiles for captivity and for prey and for devouring. And I shall remove them from the midst of the land, and I shall scatter them among the Gentiles. So why are we among the Gentiles? For what purpose? For captivity, for prey, and for devouring. It says, and they will forget all my law and all my commandments and all my judgments, and will go astray as to the new moons, Sabbaths, and festivals and ordinances. Right, same thing he telling Moses. Then it goes into the redemptive part, and it says, after this they will turn to me from amongst the Gentiles with all their heart and with all their soul and with all their strength, and I shall gather them from amongst all the Gentiles. So if we are among the Gentiles, what does that make us by default? What does that classify us as?
Being Gentiles in a way.
Mhm.
John, John 7:35, the disperse among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles.
He
Excuse
says,
me.
and they will seek me so that I shall be found of them when they seek me with all their heart and with all their soul. So, in other words, while we're among these nations, this is what we will be doing. We will be serving in captivity. We will be for prey and for devouring. That's the purpose. What's happening now? How many incidents have we seen within the last month of our brothers, something happening with law enforcement, or you know, some type of lynching of some sort? That's because we've been made a prey among these nations. I don't know if y'all remember a long time ago this movie called Surviving the Game with Ice-T, where
I remember, yeah.
you remember that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he played in that movie he was a homeless guy, you know,
Yeah.
down
He
look.
was a survivor. That's what he was.
So, you know, guy ran into him, offered him a job. You know, he took the job, and upon
Now he's running
receiving the
for his
job,
life.
yeah, they invited him to a cabin, you know, fed them. When they got there, they had a banquet party and everything, everybody eating and drinking. They go to sleep. The next morning, they wake him up, you know, and tell him basically, you got so much time to make it out the woods, you know, and after so much time, we're gonna come looking for you, and if we find you, we're gonna kill you. And that's in essence what we are. We've been made a prey. You know, they do it for sport, you know, but the Most High is now turning the tides, but that's been our plight in this nation. But he's saying that this is what's going to happen. When they get among these nations, this is what's going to happen. So what I want to do real quick under fair use, I want to play a video real quick. And in this video, it's going to break down the understanding of the God, or the idol god known as Saturn. And it's going to go in depth in terms of the place that Saturn holds within this society, to the point where we don't even realize it. In many ways, we are in service and worship to this particular idol, and we don't even realize it. Y'all got anything before we start this? Fair use. When the Most High said we would serve other gods, right, he meant exactly that. All right, we're going to understand what he meant by that after we deal with this. Fair use.
No one looks at Saturn by accident. Out there, at the edge of the solar system, beyond the planets you were taught to name in
I want to pause it on this statement. It says, the most effective prison is the one where the prisoners don't realize they're inside it. Right? It's like we said before, the best way to win a war over a people, you know, and having the advantage over the people by default, is to make it to where those people don't realize they're in a war. Right? Make them totally oblivious to the fact that this is a war that they're in. Right? The most effective prison is the one where the prisoners don't realize they're in it. This all reflects the idea of what we know as the Matrix. Everybody's familiar with the concept of the Matrix. Right? Most people are not privy to the fact that we're confined, you know, and we're in a prison, and we're subjected to a system of people who are in service to a God who is not the Most High. And so for that, we're suffering and dealing with a lot of things, but fair use.
No one looks at Saturn by accident. Out there, at the edge of the solar system, beyond the planets you were taught to name in school, spins a colossal sphere shrouded in mist and something else. An echo, a presence. What if Saturn isn't what we were told? What if it's not a planet, but a prison? A cosmic jail carefully designed not to imprison bodies, but to trap souls. For centuries, cultures across the world have pointed to the same place, the same symbol, the same god. Kronos, the devourer, the titan of time, the great judge of the dead.
If you know anything about Greek mythology, Kronos was said to be the son of heaven and of earth, right? And this is why a lot of people like to tie Mashiach to Greek mythology. You know, when we say that he was born of a virgin, or that she was the Most High through the Holy Spirit caused Mary to conceive, one of the first things you hear from people is, you know, or one of the rebuttals you hear rather is that, you know, y'all are saying he's a demigod, Mashiach is a demigod, or he's a you know, a sky baby, stuff like that. Right. But we understand that what the Bible is conveying to us, the Greeks, the Egyptians, all of these things are mimicking what was conveyed to us. Everything they do is a counterfeit. Right. And they can only mimic or get concepts of who God is from us because we have the true God as Israelites. He's the God of Israel. And so Kronos, that Greek deity, right, is important in understanding, you know, what we see going on today, right? That one deity is known by a lot of different names, and within different religions, he serves a different place within those religions. Fair use.
In occultism, in ancient religions, in secret lodges from Babylon to the present day, the pattern repeats. Saturn is tied to suffering, to judgment, and to the recycling of the human soul. This isn't a modern theory. It's a secret that's been here all along, hidden in hermetic texts, in alchemical symbols, in religious architecture, in myths that survived the Inquisition of thought. And they all point to one thing: reincarnation is not a blessing.
Now, this is just simply explaining their concept. We talked about philosophy yesterday. So this is their concept of the divine, their understanding of quote unquote God. And in their case, they had many gods, but this is their belief. And what they serve as God is tied to all of these different beliefs. This is stuff that the Bible warned us against. You know, reincarnation, things of that nature. These are not things that our ancestors dealt with. They dealt with the resurrection, the understanding or believing in the coming resurrection. You know, but this idea of souls returning and being, you know, tortured through other different means, you know, that's a alien concept to us. Y'all got anything?
Yes, camp guys believe in reincarnation. Because they'll try to say that um, Solomon is the Messiah.
Hmm.
The scripture says Solomon will have many stripes. So a lot of camp guys believe that.
Hmm.
Also, Sons Elohim said, will you drop the link in the chat?
Indeed, my brother. Indeed. There you go. So once again, this is learn not the ways of the heathens, but we're getting an understanding of when the Most High said we're going to serve other gods. What did he mean by that? Did he just mean religiously? Did he mean psychologically? Did he mean economically? Or did he mean all of those things together? Because once again, what constitutes worship on our end, right? We look at what the Most High instructs us to do. We would agree that that's all a form of worship. So what would it constitute here? What's up, Brother Yash?
Now I was gonna add when Kadar said, I was thinking earlier about with that reincarnation thought. Now it's that you can have memories, because I know I've had them, but I realized that it was memories of our ancestors that's passed down through your blood. And people sometimes will mistake that and think that it was them.
Hmm.
At least that's what the conclusion that I came up with to myself. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely believe that a lot of what our ancestors went through, we still
It's in your blood.
it's in us. Yeah, I do believe that.
It's in your blood. Some of us just got a stronger, some got a stronger, I guess, amount of that trauma in their blood.
Indeed.
That's what it is. It's trauma.
Indeed.
Epigenetic. All right, Notorious, that's it. Epigenetic.
Paul says, stir up what, y'all? When he's talking to who he's talking to, Timothy or Titus? You tell him to stir up that spirit with his grandmother and them all them head.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair use.
It's a sentence, a cycle with no end, a wheel that spins and spins, just like Saturn's rings. Today, you'll learn why the ancients feared Saturn, why it was cast down from the throne of the heavens, and how its influence right now might still be affecting your thoughts, your life, your soul. Cast down from the throne of the heavens, and how its influence right now might still be affecting your thoughts, your life, your soul.
He said that the ancients feared Saturn and that Saturn was cast down from the throne of the heavens. Who that sound like already? Just not looking at the throne part, but who said that they would ascend to the heights and sit on the throne, and who was cast down?
Mm-hmm.
Hashatan, Esau.
Mm-hmm.
That's his last name.
Yep, Esau.
Yeah.
But just think about that. And I don't know if y'all remember a little while back, I read a passage from it's sort of a lost apocryphal gospel of Peter, where it says Peter encounters Satan on the way to Damascus, and he ended up cursing Satan And Satan, yielded to him basically, and cried out saying that he was cursed, and how the Most High rejected him, and how in the latter times he was going to deceive the nations into serving him through idolatry, through deceitfulness of riches.
Yeah, that was deep. Yep.
And then he mentioned how he would appear to monks, secluded monks in secluded places, and show them visions, different visions, and how he would attribute various natures unto Mashiach. Y'all remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Mhm.
Yep.
Now, keep that in mind as you looking at this video, because Satan already told you what he was going to do. And all of that is going to unfold as we look at this. Everything we read, everything he said he was going to do, we see that he did it, and it's being carried out. All right. Fair use. Y'all got anything else?
No, I don't.
Saturn wasn't always seen as just a planet. Long before telescopes or space missions, ancient civilizations already feared it, revered it, and wove its presence into the darkest corners of their mythology. It wasn't a distant rock in the sky, it was a god, and not a kind one. To the Greeks, he was Kronos, the most feared of the Titans, a being who rose to power by overthrowing his own father, and then, consumed by fear, began swallowing each of his children the moment they were born. Not out of hatred, but because he knew the truth. Time devours everything, even itself. This ancient myth isn't simply a story, it's a coded truth. Kronos, or Saturn, represents something much more disturbing than a mythological king. He symbolizes repetition, imprisonment, the endless cycle of birth and death. In various esoteric traditions, Saturn is not a creator, it's the warden, the force that traps souls in karma, in samsara, in a reality that endlessly recycles itself while keeping you unaware of the trap. Which brings us to the obvious question: why Saturn? Why this planet and not another? The answer lies not just in mythology, but in observable reality. Saturn is the farthest planet visible to the naked eye, which made it the final celestial body known to the ancients. It was the boundary, the edge of the known cosmos.
In other words, the border of wickedness, right? But we did a video before showing how the Roman calendar of ancient times used to be, how it was pretty much set on the celestial bodies, Saturn being the first because it had the longest orbit according to them in their cosmic belief. It had the longest orbit around the earth, so it was first, right? Then came the sun, right? Then came the other ones. I forget the exact order of all of them, but the ancient Roman calendar, Saturn, or Saturn's day, what we would call Saturday, was the first day of the week for that very purpose, right? Whichever celestial body they deemed the most powerful or had the longest orbit, because they believe in the Earth orbiting, right, and the planets and everything orbiting and all of that. So that's what they set it as. What Constantine did later on, people say that Constantine changed the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday, right? Or they changed the day of worship from the Sabbath day, which was Saturday, to Sunday. What Constantine did was he made Sunday the first day of the week, and he moved Saturday to the seventh day of the week. That's what he did. He rearranged the celestial order of the calendar that they had set. Now, this was in 300 plus AD time, 320 AD, somewhere up in there. Rome already had their system set up prior to that, right? They already had a 7-day system set up, and prior to that, they had it set in that order, Saturday being the first day of the week. And so when you look at Saturn worship back then, notice he's saying that they revered Saturn as a god, right? That this was how the Most High said he set spirits over the nations to lead them astray. Now, who knows? Some of these people may have actually been visited by some of these spirits, and because of that, they worshiped them. And in some cases, that is the case. You can read about that, things where certain nations, certain peoples encountered certain demon spirits rising up out of the water, and things of that nature, and they doing things to pay homage to those spirits. But we know that they're not gods. These are just spirits that are appointed over these nations to lead them, to cause them to believe that they're gods. So y'all got anything on that?
Nah.
I'm glad you made that clear because I don't want nobody to think it's gonna be an X-Man fighting something at the end. So I'm glad you made that clear. Yeah, these nations are worship deities that they don't even know. That's why the scripture said, "Do you even know who you worship?" Right?
Yeah.
These people don't know who they worship. They worship Hashatan. Basically what they doing. But when you worship a so-called another Earth, I mean that alone should make you think about that, right? You worshiping a so-called another planet? Come on, man. Another planet.
But see once again, Satan made it clear what he was going to do. And just like the Most High said he dealt with us in ways that he didn't deal with the other nations, I believe it's the opposite when it comes to the spirits that reside over these nations. They have experiences that we don't have, to cause them to revere those spirits and to make idols and do all those things.
Because I always ask this, Eric, where do they be getting these movies and these ideas from? They see a lot of stuff. That's why they call it Area 51.
Yeah. I mean, like, look at this image on the screen right here. Now, some people might find it far-fetched, but there are ancient texts that have creatures like this in them. And a lot of these texts are from what you would call your old European text and all these different things. These are the type of creatures that they said they experienced and saw. Brother Yash, I was talking to him the other day about a video where a brother down in New Orleans said he had an encounter with a English werewolf. He was saying the thing stood up and it was probably about 9 or 10 feet tall. Now, some people might say, "Is that he lying?" Who knows? I'm not gonna knock it. But one thing I do know is it's some stuff out there we don't want to see for sure.
Well, you got
Hey, look,
people with lizard tongues here.
Hey, look at this picture. You think people were just inspired to just make something up like this? They seen stuff like this.
You know, you got festivals where people will take the animal skulls and put it on their heads and march through the streets, and you know, the blood from the animals and all that. You know, where they learn this stuff from. What's up, Sons of Elohim?
What's going on, family? How everybody doing?
Man,
Yeah, I see y'all got it rocking over here. All praise to the Most High. All praise to the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Now I'm just messing with y'all.
I'm just like, what happened to him?
Nah, man, but I don't want to, divvy away from the topic, but man, it's been on my heart heavy about like our people, man. Like, people out here talking about like black fatigue, people out here, just talking down on us, like kind of like white supremacy don't exist, and like things haven't been done to us to make us how we are. And like I said, I don't want to change the topic or nothing, but I'm just like, man, I'm just praying for our people right now, praying for that second Exodus, and like, people talk down on us, but we are the apple of the Most High eyes, and he gonna take care of our enemies. And I wanted to comment a little bit on this. So, to my understanding, you got the Most High, the angels that rebel. If you read the Book of Enoch. So, if you worshiping any god other than the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, it's a fallen angel or a demon. Period. I even remember walking into like Chinese stores or get some Chinese food. They got the little golden cat, or you go in an Indian place, they got the little elephant. The Chinese people got the little drag. It's like they don't know the Most High. And I was trying to get that verse in Jubilees where it talked about he set spirits over them to lead them astray. He literally told us, and he was like, but Israel is his, but he said spirits over them to lead them astray. Like that. So first off, for you to turn around and say that salvation is for them don't make sense. But it was one more point I wanted to make. It'll come back to me, but long story short, that's why Abraham was so loved by the Most High. Y'all go read or listen to the Apocalypse of Abraham. Abraham was like, yo, father, why you worshiping these stones that can fall down and break? It don't make sense. So Abraham was one of the realest, in terms of people out here worshiping fake gods versus the real guys. So,
yeah, he definitely set the tone for sure.
Abraham tried God. He proved that he, what I'm saying? He started from the creation.
Check this out. One of my homeboys is like, man, one of the funniest characters in the Bible to me is Abraham, and he was like talking junk. I was like, bro, Abraham one of the strongest figures in the Bible. Okay? Yeah, like I didn't even know where he was coming from. I think he said something about because he lied for his wife. I don't even know. I don't remember. But I was like, nah, man, I don't know what Bible you reading. Like Abraham.
That's that them preachers be pumping their heads up with. So
I was shocked he said that. Like,
justified in this wickedness. That's all.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, man, long story short, if you worship in any religion, it's the same horn on the same devil, same, Democrat, Republican, same thing. It's the, divide people up. And then you see, not to go on a tangent, but a lot of our people subscribe to Islam. And I'm like, dang, I understand that Islam gives you some structure and whatnot, but it's still not the Most High God, So it's so many false religions and, just all kind of stuff going on.
Man, Islam has an appearance of structure, but it's no different. The people are no different, man. It's all the same. is really a counterfeit religion. You know, if it wasn't for the scriptures, it wouldn't be no Islam. Everything they do, they mimic it from scripture. You know,
And real quick, brother E, real quick, like my great aunt, she's an ancient Kemetic or whatever you call them niggas. But I'm like, wait, so how can you worship the head, the pinky toe? Like they have a god for everything. You got a god of the dead, you got a god of the river, you got a god of the moon. I'm like, you don't think that's a little weird?
Ancient Baal worship.
Exactly. So that's the point. It all go back to the same thing. And the Most High does not like that. He does not appreciate credit being taken from him. You worshiping, stones and statues versus having a relationship. But I would say all praises that he woke us up to have a relationship with him. Because some people clearly don't.
like Rachel dad mad because somebody stole his God and he had to go. Yeah.
Oh, dang, my bad. I ain't trying to get on no tangent, but real quick, I was gonna bring that up. If you read the book of Jasher Jubilees, it talk about how this nigga had a skull. He had a skull, I think a human skull, and he put candles in it and like a nickel under the tongue.
A penny, label.
Yeah, and he would pray
It
like,
was a shrunken head.
man, like where did you learn to do that from? I just like,
Wow,
crazy.
Nimrod.
Yeah, it talk about how the spirits, the angels taught enchantments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of the stuff that they was doing, they was learning from the women that the angels taught.
And let me say real quick, one thing that the Most High really hates, he hates all sin, of course, but one thing that he seems to really hate is idolatry.
Yeah.
So I seen that pop up so many times. I'm like, yo, you really don't like that.
Yep.
So
It's one of the most blasphemous things, idolatry, and that's one of the reasons we know the nation is going to be destroyed. You know, all the nations are going to be destroyed.
Yep, because he said it's gonna be a visitation on the gods of the Gentiles because there was a snare unto men.
Josiah, what it do, man? What you on tonight? I'm on that double XL. What you got for me?
Hey, I'm drinking some beers tonight, bro. What you?
Praise great images.
What you been on though, bro? You all right?
Yes, sir. Cooling, man. Work for Esau. Just waiting on that. I kid you not.
You started working?
Yeah. But like
okay.
Nowadays, it's that second Exodus. That's all I really think about. I be like, man, I just want to see us like really get delivered type thing,
Yeah.
Like, cause like y'all, I'm telling you, like I see that climax coming. Like they talking real greasy about us right now as a people, and I'm like, y'all talk about us like we roaches or something.
You know what though? You got to look at. See, what I'm doing is I'm just looking at how he's burning down the land and how he's hitting them with all kinds of tornadoes. The Most High ain't playing out here, and all we got to do is just praise him. See, because they have their plan, and everything that they do, the Most High is going to turn it and is turning it against them. Now, yeah, they're going to get some of us because he said the 70 shepherds, they killed more than they should. But even when they did overkill, whoever they did, there's nobody in it. Either. The Most High is still paying off ancient debt. Man, I think we talked about that. They talked about that last night. That some of us, our families was probably righteous, and that's why he raised us up, and that's why we was able to seek him.
Yeah. Let's get some more of this. He's gonna bring out some more stuff to show pretty much everything you see people doing worship wise, you know, today, right now, today, it all revolves around worshiping this deity, this idol, right? I can say deity because the Most High, our Elohim is not a deity. He's the Most High. You know, he's not created. He created all spirits, though. All spirits are subject to him. But everything we see happening worship wise, you name it, it revolves around the worship of this idol. Fair use.
Hey, brother E, let me ask you a
Cold,
question real quick.
distant,
Go ahead.
Well, go ahead, play it. I ask after that. Go ahead, my fault. Play that real quick.
celestial body known to the ancients. It was the boundary, the edge of the known cosmos. Cold, distant, slow. It takes nearly 30 years to complete one orbit. In astrology, it's the great teacher, but also the strict punisher. It governs structure, time, limitation, suffering, and consequences. It's not about growth, it's about paying your debt. But beyond the symbolic, Saturn is unique for another reason. At its north pole, there exists a massive, perfectly geometric hexagon, a storm system unlike anything else found in the solar system. It remains stable, unchanging for decades, a six-sided vortex that corresponds eerily with sacred geometry and the shadow form of a cube that we'll see repeated over and over again in religious rituals, sacred architecture, even in the robes of judges and clerics. Saturn also emits sound, not metaphorically, literally. NASA has recorded strange radio waves emanating from the planet, and when translated into audible frequencies, they don't sound like natural space noise. They sound like a transmission, rhythmic, mechanical, almost.
All right, so now he done brought NASA into it, right? Now we know that the planets, quote unquote, are actually wandering stars. You know, now he's saying NASA has recorded sound that Saturn emits sound, and he's describing the sound waves coming from it. Hold on. Okay, yeah, I got you, bro. I thought I already put it in there. So, you know, NASA, we don't believe what NASA talking about, but what he's saying is sort of profound because it once again it reflects the ideology of the other nations and what they believe, whether it's based on what they were taught, whether it's based on experience. We know somebody had to experience something, right? And then it was passed down. We even know today those who are in power are in service and worship to, you know, things behind the scenes. This is where they get ideas and plans to do certain things. Or at least that's, you know, what I see.
No, you're right. It's not to interrupt, but it's very high level. Like, you know, they probably worship like the dragon or whatever false god, and he tells them stuff like 50, 100 years ahead type of thing. You know, like what's that Psalms 83? That crafty counsel, like where they getting it from?
Yep. All these different scientific concepts, you know, they try to come up with mixing and splicing the genes and all that, trying to create super soldiers and all that.
Yeah, it sounds like the Most High literally gave them the sun, the moon, the stars to worship, and those spirits that He placed over them is causing them to serve that stuff.
Exactly.
Let me ask you something. You just playing like Angel's Advocate real quick. Why would you say that other nations? Why would you say that he's only the Elohim of Israel? I don't know if that's a good question. I'm trying to frame it the right way. But like, why are they giving over to that while we have him and we have him alone?
Let me see if I can answer that with a passage.
So like if a a heathen came up like, oh well, why can't I worship him, or why can't I get down type thing?
It says, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For the Lord's portion is his people, and Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. So, simply put, and I realize you don't really have to get deep with people. Simply put, as a creator, you can do whatever you want to do with your creation. The Most High created all people, and it says that in the Jubilees you was talking about. It lets you know he created all people and all are his, right? However, within all being his, he's within his right to say, I'm going to choose me one people and make them my chosen special people as God and as creator. So when he created the people, he separated them. He set the bounds. He gave everybody their inheritance, and then he chose Israel as his portion.
Amen.
Just as a creator, that's what he chose to do.
What about he said? What about Second Ezra said, "For their sakes I created the world, or I made the world."
For Israel's sake, right?
Yeah,
Man.
Israel was already. This is why he created everything, because of Israel.
Yeah.
Right. And not the world. Wait, not vice versa. Something like that, right?
Just think about it. It's 12 hours in a day, representing what?
12 tribes.
You know what I'm saying? 12 months. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, it's all about us, basically. You know.
It is.
Yeah,
12 gates.
Right.
Yeah. Say, what if God willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, and do it with
I
much
thought about that.
vast vessels of wrath fitted for destruction, right? So from the beginning, he already set who he had for salvation and for destruction. So this concept of salvation being for everybody, that's a religious concept. That concept is a Christian concept. It's a Islamic concept, and it's a concept of Judaism. Anybody can convert to be a part of any one of those religions.
They go back to what I said earlier. Remember,
Yep.
if you're in Christianity, Islam, or Judaism, anybody can be a part of it. You can convert to it. It's not an actual heritage or like a people like the Bible is.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is what makes the Bible separate from all the other stuff.
Yep.
Now, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism is based on the Bible, but it's not the Bible.
It's not even based on the Bible. It's a counterfeit. It's like
It is.
It's like a knockout. You know. It's like a.
What I'm saying is, they wouldn't even be able to talk if it wasn't for Abraham. That's what I'm saying. Because that's what they all convert back to, Abraham.
That's crazy, man. That's wild. And for a dude to say that Abraham was like, he basically was saying Abraham was a simp. I was like, oh, you sure about that? Oh. But something that I wanted to quote real quick was just that when he said that his ways are above our ways, his thoughts are above our thoughts. I'm like, man, that's literal. Like you can't really imagine why he thinks how he thinks, or that's not for you to do. Really, it's just for you to like trust more so. You know what I mean? Like people would try to like break it down in their own way of thinking, and I'm like, you can't really do that with him.
It's like it's his way to choose one people and to love those people and to be faithful to those people. But it's our way to try to believe that it's about love for everybody, that God love everybody. It take more to. That's why I say His way is above our way. It take more for us to love ourselves and our people than it would to take to love other people, and that's why we don't love ourselves, because we don't want to do what's required to love ourselves, and that's turn back to the Most High. Keeping the law is keeping the commandments. That's love. Love is the keeping of the commandments. So you can't say you got any type of love without that. Fair use.
And sacred architecture, even in the robes of judges and clerics. Saturn also emits sound, not metaphorically, literally. NASA has recorded strange radio waves emanating from the planet, and when translated into audible frequencies, they don't sound like natural space noise. They sound like a transmission, rhythmic, mechanical, almost intentional. In alchemy, Saturn is lead, the heaviest of the base metals. It represents the first stage of spiritual transformation, the nigredo, or blackening, the death of the old self before rebirth is possible. In Kabbalah, Saturn is linked to Bina, the realm of understanding, but also structure and restriction, the cosmic womb that both creates and contains. In Gnostic texts, Saturn echoes in the figure of the demiurge, a false creator who builds a flawed material world and traps the soul inside it.
So basically, a flawed material world, right, where we're trapped inside. That would describe the very matrix that we're all aware of. All right, the commerce and economics within this nation, the how media projects narratives on the people to cause people to believe certain things and to move a certain way. All that is tied to worship of a false idol, right? Notice it said he's not a creator, right? He's more of a punisher, one who imposes strict order and judgment. You see what I'm saying? What happens when you do any little thing within this society? Any little thing, they want to do all they can to throw as much time at you as possible. Because guess what? They benefit from that. They benefit from us, being within they jail systems and things like that. Go ahead.
Oh dang. My bad. But yeah, I was gonna say like that took me back to what I saw on Instagram earlier, to where like it was in Florida. It was some young black boys. Sheriffs roll up, got the guns pointed at him. He like, yo, stop reaching. The boy got a plate in one hand and a cup in another hand. So I'm like, wait, where can he reach? And it's just this thing of acting like we're so bad, as if y'all didn't have to bomb Tulsa, Oklahoma or whatever. You didn't have to put crack in the community. You don't try to destroy our image. Like you have moves on the chessboard to tear us down, and then turn around and act like, why are y'all like that? You know what I mean? So it's I don't know, like it's crazy.
Yep. Run that back. What's going on?
Shalom. How y'all doing? My brothers and sisters in the chat. Shalom to y'all.
Good to
But
see you.
I'm good to see y'all too. I'm on my way to the house now. But once y'all arrive there, I'll chime in a little bit more.
Okay. Indeed. Kadar, Josiah.
You know, this is proving the Babylonian system, y'all. Mystery Babylon. This is exactly what it's proving. That's crazy, man.
Mystery Babylon, right?
Yep.
That yeah, that last kingdom. I see where they got everything from. It's
Yeah.
interesting. I would like you to, what you need to give me this right here.
Yeah. We
Yeah, this real
through
good.
this we're understanding what worship really what really constitutes worship. Is it just going on a certain day? Is it just a religious belief or praying or whatever, or is worship encompassed inside of your whole being, your day-to-day life, what you do day to day?
Lifestyle. I say
Yeah,
it's a
from
Yeah.
lifestyle, bro.
And real quick,
Lifestyle.
yes, sir. What came to my mind was real quick, Deuteronomy 28, because you didn't serve God, your God, out of the joy of and
Mm,
goodness of your
mm.
heart and great abundance, you will have to serve your enemies whom God will send against you. So it's like, because you didn't serve me happily, willingly, like, come on, bro. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, how ungrateful. But I digress.
yeah,
It's crazy.
fair
But this is
use.
a prime example of serving your enemies, though. This is a prime example.
Exactly. What he said would happen.
Yep.
Now we're getting deep into seeing how this idol governs our day-to-day life. Right? Fair use.
A prison disguised as reality. A system ruled not by freedom, but by repetition, decay, and forgetfulness. So why Saturn? Because nothing else fits the role so perfectly. Every aspect of it, its mythological history, astrological weight, physical structure, and symbolic presence, points to the same conclusion. Saturn doesn't merely represent the trap, it may be the trap, a wheel that spins without end, a cycle we're born into, die in, and return to, without ever remembering how we got here. If Saturn represents structure, law, and judgment, it's no surprise that his shadow stretches across the most sacred traditions of human history. The figure we've been following, this devouring god, this cosmic warden, didn't vanish as civilizations evolved. He adapted. And over time, his influence became more subtle, more symbolic, but no less powerful.
So in other words, nothing, this deity, this idol, all it did from age to age, civilization to civilization, is transform. Right. And within each one of these systems, it has a way of operating within that system to cause this way of life. That's why the Most High said, when you get among these nations, you're gonna suffer, you're gonna be oppressed, you're gonna be a prey, you're gonna be for a spoil. Because even without us here, this is how they would live. This is how their systems would operate. I always say we are the X factor in these nations. We are giving these nations something to keep them from devouring themselves. As long as we are among these nations, they have us to to sort of bridle that, to keep them from destroying themselves.
And real quick,
look at their history. Look at European history, right? What are they known? They known for fighting each other, being at war with each other. Look at the Greeks and the Romans. They was always in conflict with each other. Look at the European nations now. Without us, you know, they probably, you know, the Most High's plan would probably already be fulfilled, you know, if it wasn't for us. Go ahead, bro.
no, I was just gonna say, see, but the thing is, how do we not get credit for it? Instead, we get like the opposite. It's like, you know, we don't get no credit for that. We get treated like, you know, we the scum of the earth or something when we really the salt of the earth. So I'm like, that's just so, yeah.
You ever been in a relationship and you treated the person good, but they treated you bad and try to act like, you know, you insignificant, then you leave them, and what's the first thing they do when you leave?
I don't know. What was it?
I mean, you ain't live life enough.
I get where you're trying to go. I was trying to think of the right answer. I'm like,
The first thing they do is they
Say it again. Hold on, wait. Say it again. Ask that again.
I said, you know, you ever been in a relationship, you treated a person good, but they didn't treat you good. And when you got fed up and decided you was fed up, what did they do?
They like gaslight you.
It sort of humbles them in a way.
Yeah, okay. And they try to like manipulate mind games and stuff like that. That's what these white people like.
That's how they are with us. If as long as we hear, they can look at us and tell us that. But the day they see all Negroes packing up and leaving, best believe, where y'all going?
What they gonna do?
Why they leaving?
What did Pharaoh do? Pharaoh like, wait, them niggas beyond the whatever river that was. What he do? He got his whole army and went after him.
Yeah.
Like why you didn't just let him go? Like it. Oh man, it's so deep. Like I tell people, it's the greatest story ever told. I couldn't have imagined this type of story. I just couldn't. Like for real. I'm like, what he say? His hidden ones, like he hid us amongst these nations, and he didn't say that his people would own every media company and own the NBA, own the NFL. No, he said that you would be a byword, you would be the lowest of the lowest, you would be a gazing stock. So that's like, it's so crazy, man. I'm like, people don't read or they don't believe.
Listen, it has to be one or the other for the Israelites. We got to be on the bottom or on the top. It can't be both.
Right.
So if Israel's on the bottom, the nations is ruling. When Israel's on top, the nations are under by subjection. And I can only remember that happened with David and Solomon.
Right. So it's either a head or a tail, right?
He said if you come tonight to a city and they proclaim peace into it, then you should make every one of them tributaries, and they should serve thee. This ain't no damn equal field.
Hold on, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
What's tributary, bro?
Tributaries, you gotta pay us taxes, whatever you want to call it. Pay me.
So it's like get down and lay down, then, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with my headphones, but yeah, man. They when you look at the system of America, right? The economic system. I'm gonna just take these out. Y'all can hear me good, huh?
Yeah.
These.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear y'all.
Yeah.
But when you look at the economic system, right? You look at America, for instance. What is America trying to do? America is trying to impose their system, their politics, their way of education, their way of life on every nation, right? The sexual revolution movement, they trying to bring all that stuff to every nation. And this is, you know, symbolic of what it's saying. The system of decay. We get caught up in these systems. You know, you find yourself in a job working for years and years and years, and then they end up letting you go, right? Or you stay there and you just find yourself in a perpetual cycle, you know, constantly being subject, not able to break free, to do nothing else, or to live free, you know. And that's the whole idea. And we see that that's happening all over the world now. What Babylon is doing and been doing is being implemented all over the world now. And that's the idea of this whole deity that they serve. You know, it's controlling your very existence. You know, when you work, each paycheck you get, you have to pay a tribute to this system through what's known as a tax.
Mm-hmm.
And it's already been established that income tax is not non-constitutional, right? It's not in the Constitution.
That's crazy. Damn.
Yeah, because that just go back to the Most High saying, "I'm gonna cause thee to serve thy enemies." I mean, you ain't getting out of that.
Yep. Say
You ain't getting out
13
of it.
African nations just rejected their recent offer. Yeah, they not. I mean, and we seeing more and more of that because these nations understand you're not just bringing something, you know, that's innocent. You bringing your gods into our society. This is how you worship your gods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's voluntary. Indeed. So, who that? It says, run that back and say you need to connect your mic. Looked like he was on, but his microphone messed up. But fair use.
Evolved. He adapted. And over time, his influence became more subtle, more symbolic, but no less powerful. In Babylon, Saturn was worshipped in the form of Ninurta, a god of war, harvest, and discipline. Not a benevolent deity, but a strict enforcer of order. In ancient Egypt, his essence appeared in Osiris, not only as lord of the underworld, but as the final judge of the soul. And in Rome, Saturnus presided over a strange and unsettling celebration known as Saturnalia, a temporary suspension of the social order, where roles were reversed, slaves were treated as kings, and chaos reigned. But beneath the surface, it was a controlled chaos.
And real quickly, not to interrupt, but long story short, this is what Christians seem to really struggle with. It's nothing new. So like Saturnalia, what is it today? It's some holiday.
Speak up. We can't really hear you.
Man, I don't know. Long story short, I was just saying that you know, like this is what Christians struggle with, and it's like, you know, the same thing he talking about Saturnalia. It's like what holiday is that Americans celebrate? I actually don't remember, but I'm just saying, like, whichever one it is, whether it's Valentine's, Christmas, you know, it's all God worship, and it's like they struggle so hard, or you know what? Rather, they don't struggle; they just hard headed.
Yeah, but you see, it's showing you this idol in every civilization, in Babylon, in Egypt, in Rome, right? And Saturnalia was a festival that fell within the winter solstice. So the holiday season, as we would call it today, was reflective of their winter solstice, which was Saturnalia. Um, it was something else, I forget, but that's where Christmas is derived from those festivals. That's Saturn worship, right?
Hey, y'all notice that all this stuff ain't come up until after 70 AD.
Yeah. Well, it became more prevalent. Yeah.
And that's a
Right.
good point, bro. And tell me what the Christian dude that say he whooped you in Kadar, he was like, "Oh, Christmas not in the Bible because it's after Jesus." And he said some shit. I can't even remember what people be saying no more. But I'm just like, bro, what? Like he was trying to justify that verse in Jeremiah and all kind of stuff, you know, or you know what I mean. But
Yeah, but it's the same. It's the same worship and practice. The scriptures tell us in Jeremiah, "Have a nation changed their God?" But he said, "My people have changed something that don't profit them." So
Yeah.
the nation's God is just different symbolism, but it's the same shit.
Yeah.
so real quick, why do y'all think Christians struggle so hard to actually see what's going on? I mean, it's kind of like
It's
an open ended.
it's
Yeah.
because they in it.
Mm.
They in it.
Yeah. I mean, to see that means you got to look at what you're doing.
Right.
And like I said, I struggled for a long time to
Oh,
say
me too. Me too.
Christianity is a pagan religion.
Yeah, I mean, it's a walk for sure, but they just not humble about it. They don't want to, admit nothing or be open. But I get it though; it could be a scary thing, I guess. Maybe
Yeah.
that's why they don't. If you a 70-year-old Christian, you don't want to know nothing else. Like, hey, me and Kadar was talking to Josiah dad and stuff one day. Hey, hey, that Joker was funny. He was like, in the beginning, it was good and it was evil. he, hey, he said that shit like 10 times. I was like, okay, and what? Like, what happened after that? But it's kind of hard to teach an old dog new tricks to a degree. But
Yeah.
if you got the spirit of the Most High, it ain't no excuse because it's even older people that know that they Israelites and stuff like that. So it really ain't no excuse,
Yeah.
But that's because a lot of older people don't want to. You got to humble yourself to say, "I was lied to. I don't know nothing," and then you got to relearn yourself. How many older cats are actually willing to do that?
And they don't help by us being the youngest. I'm the baby in my family, Josiah the baby. A lot of babies in the family is the ones waking up. I can't say for every last case. And I think
Yeah.
that's a big part. They don't want to look at us like we don't know what we're talking about. But behind
Right.
closed doors, they know we know the truth.
That's common though. Look at
Exactly.
David. Look at David. Look at Solomon. The Most High definitely seen this work like that. Not in
Yeah,
every
they
case.
probably over there.
You say what?
They probably over there, be like, like, I know people. Let me talk to us, Kadar. Be like, I can't stand that damn Kadar and that damn Josiah. They know every damn thing. You know what I'm saying?
Boy, hey, bro, your pops was like, in the beginning, it was good and it was evil. It was good and it was. I said, oh man, what you trying to tell me? What the hell you talking about? I ain't gonna argue with you on that shit. I ain't know. Bro, he said it for about
That
30
damn
minutes.
Kadar.
In the beginning,
How
it
you
was
know I
good.
got a damn agenda?
I said, what happened after good and evil? I don't know. Hey, your pop's better than Cliff though. At least he's sincere.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Cliff lie on purpose. And we got a lot of that in Israel.
My
Like,
pops really believe that though. Yeah.
yeah, he really believe Cliff lie on purpose. And it's like we see Christians, right, Islam and Judaism all worshiping the same deity, right?
Mm-hmm.
A false God narratives, right? Now you come into the truth and you turn around and still do it. Nah, I don't know what else to tell you.
But,
It is
and
not.
real,
I mean, it is
real
real.
quick. Oh, my bad. But one big prop to you, Kadar, is the fact I tell people, I'm like, nah, he was a pastor. What do you mean? Like, literally, you were a whole Christian pastor. I mean, you, like, bruh, that's the Most High Spirit working. That's proof. You know, so it again, it's just no excuse, low key. But I do pray for the older people. I mean, I pray for everybody, but I'm like, all right, you know, maybe they didn't have the internet. I mean, I don't know, you know, but it's up to him at the end of the day. It's the point I'm making.
Yeah,
They always blame it on the weather.
it's a time for family. Yeah, that's the main hook they use. You know, it's a time for family. And
Yeah.
when I first came into the truth of it all, I still somewhat considered that to a degree, you know, because it's like, okay, we living in this system, those the only days we have off, you know. But then it's like moving forward, you realize, okay, that's not really an excuse, you know, to say it's for family, you know, because if it's for family, why not do something different? You know, if it's just for family, those days are designated. You see what I'm saying? That's why in Jubilees, the Most High was specific. He said you're gonna call an abominable day the day of testimony. You understand? And an unclean day, you know, a day of worship.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly the stuff that we doing. The Most High is particular to the point where you can't say, well, it's just for family, because if we feel like we have to put our family above doing what the Most High said do, then that makes us not worthy of the Most High.
You know what?
That's when that hate. That's when you're supposed to actually hate your mother, your father for his name's sake. But if it was in the Old Testament, we was under the law. They actually tell you to kill them. If your mother, your father, your friend entice you and say, "Oh, let's go worship some secret gods," or namely among, you got to be the first one to kill them.
Now,
Go
I
ahead.
think
does that sound like something the world would be agree with? That, but that's what the Most High is saying in His Word, right? What would the average Christian say if you say that?
Thank you.
You going to hell?
I don't feel like I don't think my God would.
There you go.
You know,
Why would a loving God do something like that?
no, to y'all question the other day, that's philosophy. That's what philosophy is. You are self-interpreting your own version of the Most High. You know what I mean? Like,
And that's called trying to break down the nature of the Most High when our people didn't do that. We ain't seen no similar to and nothing like that. The Most High told us to do this, or this gonna happen to your ass.
And he said his ways are above our ways. So think about this.
Right.
You love everybody, but the Most High only love one people.
yeah.
Right? How can you do anything greater than the Most High?
Not possible.
No.
And also,
how the hell you have a bigger? How the hell you gonna have a bigger heart? How the hell you gonna have a bigger heart than the Most High? And he said the heart is desperately wicked.
In the book of Second Esdras, he said, like, can you love the creature more than I can? Can you love the creation more than me? Like you nigga, you don't love your mama more than the Most High, dude. Like you gotta humble yourself. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, y'all get me on my soapbox. I'm like, all right. But can you love the creature more than the Most High? Yes or no? Like, no, you can't. All right, what I mean, all right, E, can you love your kids more than the Most High can?
No.
No.
Exactly.
Impossible.
It's impossible. What? Exactly. I mean, even though you got a good heart, obviously, but it's just that the Most High he said, I know the plans to prosper you, to give you an expected end, the for your good and not your bad. So I'm like, that's what we gotta trust in, that he has a plan for us. So you don't need to try to be God type thing. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Religion has destroyed us. I just ended with saying that religion
Well,
has messed us up.
according to the heathens, the heathens they think for their life. They care about food, raiment, clothes, shelter. The Most High told us not to worry about that.
That's
He
right.
told us to trust in Him.
That's right.
That's how they worship their gods. This is why this Saturn is not the planet. It's a prison of
Yeah.
God. It's pretty good because
No,
you're
Money is
showing
your
that
God.
you're showing a history. You're showing the what they really serve and what you know what I'm saying, which is idols and money.
money.
Money,
Now,
yeah.
now you brought that up, right? I was gonna
Yeah,
bring it up after
Go
this.
and go.
Now, you see how Mashiach even gave you an example of worship. You see what I'm saying? He said, don't worry about these things because after these things do the Gentiles seek. But now we're put in that position. We have to work to provide the things that we need. You see what I'm saying? And that's what he said what happened to us. You
and
will
what
and serve the gods and your enemies.
and what they say, man. I'm trying to get this bag.
Exactly. I'm
Black
trying
people.
I'm trying to eat.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm trying to
exactly. I'm
And
thinking about
real quick,
my brother said I'm thinking about my families. Like, come on, man.
real yeah, no, I heard you, my bad. I'm just thinking about that dude Orlando Brown that he played in Major Pain and he acted all crazy. Y'all know the Orlando Brown? Is that his
yeah,
name?
yeah.
Anyways, he was like grapes and apples, things that God gave us for free. And I was like, yo, that's some real shit. I ain't gonna lie. Like, even though you're a little bugged out, I'm like, he was telling the truth though. Like, this beast system, you paying for dirty water, you paying for sewer water probably, you paying for stuff that grow out of the ground. Like everything that heathen does is like the opposite of the Most High. Like you killing the ocean, you killing the earth, you killing the air. Like you know what I mean? Like
So
it's
that
just
so it's pretty much perverting everything the Most High made.
It,
For
it,
instance, the rainbow.
um, Sirach told us that all these things, the wicked turn into evil. All the things that for a man's life, wheat,
Mhm.
iron, the things that's necessary for a man's life. The wicked, they turn that into evil, meaning they
impossible.
charge you for it. They pollute it. They told us we got a letter in the mail the other day talking about that our water's contaminated. I don't give a damn.
Hmm.
Damn,
Yep.
What am I supposed to do?
so
Still,
wicked.
I still gotta wash up. You know what I'm saying? It's,
Fast.
it's,
Yeah,
what am I supposed to do?
Yep. It's
exactly.
crazy.
You know, when we look at these three religions, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, just like last night, what is that leading people to? And this is what
Oh,
they're leading people to hell.
Yeah.
I
Ain't
would
no
agree
way
with
in the
you.
world, ain't no way in the world can you tell me that you got saved believing like Jesus. And then, I know a lot of Christians, Israelites saying that. Well, 40 years ago, I got saved, but you didn't know you were an Israelite till 5 years ago. There's stuff like that. So now that you know you are an Israelite, why would you turn and continue to call yourself a Christian? Why would you call yourself uh, a Greek, following out everything got to do with Greek?
Hmm.
You know the truth. And this is the road to hell fire. There's no way out of this. If you look at Saturn, it's not a planet, it's a prison of what? Souls. So, what is Hashatan's plan, right? We know what the Most High's plan for Israel. To all Israel to say, Hashatan's plan is what?
To
To get
destroy Israel.
Israelites to be destroyed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Agree.
And what it say about about Babylon, right? It said Babylon. I'm gonna just read this. I think it's Revelations 18. I'm gonna just read this real quick. We almost through with this this video here. Revelations 18, because it said Saturn is a prison, right, for the souls of men. It says talking about Babylon. It says, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. The merchandise of gold, of silver, of precious stones, of pearls, and fine linen, purple, silk, scarlet, tying wood, and all manner of vessels of ivory, all manner of vessels of most precious wood, and of brass and iron and marble, and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil, fine flour, wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. All in Babylon, right? Slaves and souls of men are trapped in Babylon. And this is how they're being trapped through all this merchandise. They make America look like the greatest country in the world, all over the world. And everybody want to come here for this very purpose, all this stuff. They think it's better opportunities. And a lot of these opportunities, they only able to get them because of what happened to our ancestors, the wealth that was generated from what our ancestors did. Yeah. They're able to get grants and different things, but it's basically describing what this system is serving and what's behind this system. The hidden understanding, what God or what deity are they worshiping and serving as God? And that very thing is what's causing the system that we under right now. It all goes back to Satan himself.
And real quick, didn't he say come out of her so that you don't partake of her sins? So how are Christians interpreting that? Like, what do they think he's talking about?
This right here.
Yeah.
It's that I'm on that wine from the wine party, y'all. I'm chilling.
You know what?
Oh, what you got there? What you got there, my boy? Okay. Man, that man Kadar threw a nice little shit.
Yeah, but like you was talking about, come out of her, that's Revelations 18:4. Don't be partaker of her sins. Like earlier, when you were just looking at this, you know this is the system of Babylon when Earth brought this out. And this is the thing. When Christians read that, I would love to have their take on when it says come out of her, what it's talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Talking about coming out the world, what they'll say probably crazy.
When you look at when it's talking about her, the nations are women. Even Israel is a woman. So when it's talking about her, it's actually talking about a nation.
Come out of her. Babylon is a woman, right?
Exactly. Her. Delicate.
Let's get some more of this, because what it's describing now, what it's showing you is the role that Saturn is playing throughout all the civilizations, how he was worshipped.
Oh,
those civilizations.
One more thing is, excuse me, but I was gonna say real quick, like y'all gotta understand that even Superman symbolizes what? Saturn. It's so many Marvel, DC, it's so many superheroes that they put right in front of you. Even a hero or a Titan, it's like a Greek god. You know, you got like Thor, you got, all of these. Y'all, you know how it go, but
Yeah,
they,
but now can get with you on there on the backstage.
which one? Who you talking about?
Oh
on,
Lord.
on all
Just
the
think about it.
superheroes. You can get with all your superheroes.
Yeah, you
I,
yeah,
I
you
ain't,
praising the gods, boy.
nah, no thanks. They ain't got us nowhere.
Superman
Praise the gods.
ain't gonna fight the Messiah at the end.
Think about it. He from Krypton, and when you look at the whole story, it actually make a lot of sense. Some remote planet, like they. So to your point, Hollywood and the elite, they are occultists. So
Mm.
they are attuned to crafting something in front of the average Joe. The average Joe don't know like what he looking at, right? And I'm not saying like I know it all, but I'm just like, bro, like
Yeah,
this is the stuff that we so ignorant to. But he say, my people perish for a lack of knowledge, and it's like, this is the stuff that we gotta be more honest about. This is stuff that we gotta kind of like come out of. So
You know, if a white person found a rock that was probably green, they'll worship it because they're the type of people that worship the creation act of the creator. They so fascinated with what
yeah.
they see that they worship it.
And one more thing, bro. Like, it's like for real, son. But it's like I've noticed with them, like you have to jump off of a mountain to feel alive. You have to jump out of a helicopter. You have to go in the middle of the forest and mess with nature. You have to kill to feel alive. That's not how Jacob felt. Jacob was a peaceful shepherd, right? Jacob was or Abel was a peaceful type of chill dude. But when I bump into these guys, I'm like, bro, why you want to seem so smart to me? Why you trying so hard to impress me? Why you want to tell me about how the earth work and the stars work? I don't care. You feel me? But like they are so inferior that this is how they move. And I'm like, y'all act like y'all so superior. And I'm like, it baffles me.
yep.
You know.
Deuteronomy say, "Your enemies shall be found liars unto thee."
Hmm.
So everything they think they know is just them, expressing, what can a nigga tell me? That's their mentality. What can a nigga tell me? Even when they know you right, they all they do is get mad, get offended.
But that's because you subjected to them. That's like I said. Why the hell can a slave? What can a slave tell her? I'm ruling over you. You don't own nothing here.
Yep. That's why it kills me when people try to run to that Isaiah 49 talking about we supposed to be a light to them.
Well, hell, gonna be a light. You ain't in a position to be a light.
Right.
Let's finish this up.
You know, a light you supposed to put in the sky, not damn near underneath the ground. How the
Yeah.
hell people gonna see on the bottom?
The only time we're gonna be a light to them is when they see the light shine.
Shine on us.
That's the only time.
When we light their
Yep.
ass up.
And that's not good for them. That's actually not good for them either.
Yeah. They're gonna be in darkness. Fair use.
Ritualized, scheduled, and always followed by the restoration of social order. In ancient Egypt, his essence appeared in Osiris, not only as lord of the underworld, but as the final judge of the soul. And in Rome, Saturnus presided over a strange and unsettling celebration known as Saturnalia, a temporary suspension of the social order, where roles were reversed, slaves were treated as kings, and chaos reigned. But beneath the surface, it was a controlled chaos, ritualized, scheduled, and always followed by the restoration of strict order. Even in its moments of madness, Saturn ruled.
What if you can create your own website?
In 1656, a mystic monk in Florence claimed that during a ritual trance, he saw a black throne in the sky, a cube pulsing with voices. He believed it to be Saturn's seat of judgment. For writing about this vision, his work was seized by the Inquisition, and he was never heard from again. Vision, black, thick monk, and always followed by the restoration of strict order. Even in its moments of madness, Saturn ruled. In 1656, a mystic monk in Florence claimed that during
In 1656, a mystic monk in Florence claimed that during a ritual trance, he saw a black throne appear in the heavens. Once again, this goes back to Satan telling Peter that he would appear before monks in solitary places, secluded places, right? A ritual trance. When you do these kind of things, you have to be in separate places, in separate quarters. That's why you see now they're revealing that a lot of this stuff goes on inside of these executive buildings. You know, these large corporations, they have people at the top doing rituals so that, you know, the people, they could have power and manipulation over the people. They do it in the music industry. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I say a lot of these corporations we work for, we don't really understand what's going on at the top, the tip top. Who's in control of these organizations and what they into. You know, what have they bought into to get to the position that they have? You know what I'm saying? And what do they have to do to maintain that this company will perform at this level? You know, I seen a thing where it was talking about the Freemasonry and different people at the top, how they had these meetings in certain places in England. And in these meetings, they meet with certain people who, you know, they think are deities. And they negotiate with these people to get what they have, you know what I'm saying? So that kind of stuff. It's not far-fetched for me to believe that these things is happening. But we see an example right here of in a ritual trance, you know, having a vision. These are the types of visions they have, you know. Whereas when we read our scriptures and our forefathers and foremothers had visions, who appeared before them to convey the messages of the Most High. We see that these was holy angels and spirits of the Most High who appeared before them. But who is this in a black cube and a black throne? And it's gonna also break down that the same black cube, the cobblestone cube, and the dimensions of the cube, right, within the symbol that we see a lot of our people dealing with today. Fair use.
During a ritual trance, he saw a black throne in the sky, a cube pulsing with voices. He believed it to be Saturn's seat of judgment. For writing about this vision, his work was seized by the Inquisition, and he was never heard from again. But these were not isolated cults. Saturn's archetype didn't fade with the fall of empires. It migrated into the very heart of monotheistic religions. In Judaism, Saturn still governs the Sabbath, Shabbat, the seventh day, a day not of joy, but of cessation, a divine pause, observed with discipline and structure. It is the day of Saturn, the day of restriction, of holding back. In Islam,
And real quick to your point, E, I was just saying that, you know, the structure and discipline of Islam appeals to our people, whether in the prison system or can you still hear me?
Oh, say it again, bro.
Oh dang! Oh no, I was just saying that. To your point, I was saying that Islam appeals to our people in a lot of ways for whatever reason. But like you showing us here that that's nothing but of the devil, you know. But like how many of our people will be scared to dive into that? Like, what is that cube? And you know, you know what I mean? It's like they think it's a good thing, but it's really right from the devil, like you said.
Yeah. Now, notice it said in Judaism, um, Saturn governs the Sabbath, the seventh day that we know is Saturday. I'm gonna run it back.
Isolated cults. Saturn's archetype didn't fade with the fall of empires. It migrated into the very heart of monotheistic religions. In Judaism, Saturn still governs the Sabbath, Shabbat, the seventh day, a day not of joy, but of cessation, a divine pause, observed with discipline and structure. It is the day of Saturn, the day of restriction, of holding back. In Islam,
So what they just described to you is how they view the Sabbath, right? Or how they view the seventh day within this system. Saturday, they look at it as a day of cessation, not a day of joy, right? What did the Most High say the Sabbath is for Israel? It says it's a day of rest, it's a day of remembrance, right? And worshiping the Most High. But they look at it as a day of holding back, you know, a day of restraint and being held back. When you look at Rome, for instance, they looked at the Sabbath as um, a day, a wasted day. They didn't believe in having no days off, so they looked at the Sabbath as just pretty much a day of you know, trying to be lazy and not do anything. That's how they viewed it. But we see that in Judaism, they seen it as a not a day of joy or rest, but a day of restraint and being held back from things. But this is Saturn, right? This is the position that they play. This is why we did the video about Saturday and our brothers and sisters who observe Saturday as a Sabbath. Is not to try to slight anybody or to tell anybody to stop doing what you're doing. It's to help us understand what we're doing in the light of what the Most High said. He said we would be doing these things. And he said that, you know, while we're in these nations, we will go astray as to the Sabbaths and new moons and things like that.
So, Brother E, I have a question real quick.
Yo.
Is that why they have us working on Saturdays as well? Would you say that'd be?
Well, today, when you look at today, everything is more commerce based, and we fell more from the 5-day work week, traditional week, to now, you know, you can work, you have jobs working any day of the week. You know, my schedule is working weekends. You understand? So
Yeah.
it's just about what you able to get into now. You know, most people who say they keep the Sabbath are just in a convenient position because their job let them off on that day. You see what I'm saying? But what if your job requires you to come in on that day? Well, you can say, well, I'll get another job or I'll pray to the Most High. And I believe in all of that, you know. But the whole point is, when you subject to this system, you have to be where they tell you to be. You have to show up when they tell you to show up. All right. And so that's just giving you in Judaism, the position that Saturn holds, he governs what we know of today as the seventh day, what most people observe as the Sabbath. That's the day of Saturn. All right. Fair use.
We see his pause, observed with discipline and structure. It is the day of Saturn, the day of restriction, of holding back. In Islam, we see his geometry encoded in the Kaaba, a perfect black cube, the focal point of pilgrimage for millions. The faithful circle it again and again, mimicking the orbital motion that echoes Saturn's own rings. And in Christianity,
so they told us that the Kaaba stone, that Abraham built it. But we see that within Islam, this stone symbolizes Saturn. This is Saturn's position within Islam, the Kaaba stone. And it talked about the pilgrimage and how people circle it, right? Because really what this stone is, like we see that it's a square box structure, a cube structure, right? But when you break down a cube into its smallest dimension, it symbolizes a 6-pointed star. Y'all comment on that real quick. Let me check something. All right, I'm back. But when you break down a cube to its lowest dimension, it symbolizes a 6-pointed star. And that's what when you're looking at a 6-pointed star, you basically looking at a cube that's, you know, broken down into as many dimensions. And that's why you see within this Kaaba stone, right? You see the stone, but then the people walk around it the same way the orbit around the star Saturn, because a planet is really a star, a wandering star. They call them planets, but they wandering stars. And so that's what all this is symbolic of. When you show up here once a year, you walk around it, and it symbolizes the custom of the star. This being the star. So that's this place that Saturn holds within Islam. Now it's going to go into Christianity.
That echoes Saturn's own rings. And in Christianity, in the Kaaba, a perfect black cube, the focal point of pilgrimage for millions. The faithful circle it again and again, mimicking the orbital motion that echoes Saturn's own rings. And in Christianity, Saturn's signature appears in ritual garments, the black robes worn by judges, priests, and even scholars, a symbolic reflection of his dominion over law, hierarchy, and tradition. Then there's the geometry.
I just peeped that.
So when you see the pastor up there in the black robes with the little thing in the middle, right? All that's symbolic of Saturn worship, priest of Saturn. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The judges in the judicial system, priest of Saturn, and they mention them both together because when you go to court, what do they make you do before you testify? What do they try to make you do? They try to
Put your hands on the Bible.
So all these things are in conjunction, all under one deity, one idol. Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Go ahead.
I like to hear what I say about Christianity. It's good.
Appears in ritual garment, the focal point of pilgrimage for millions. The faithful circle it again and again, mimicking the orbital motion that echoes Saturn's own rings. And in Christianity, Saturn's signature appears in ritual garments, the black robes worn by judges, priests, and even scholars, a symbolic reflection of his dominion over law, hierarchy, and tradition.
So all your priests, your bishops, Catholic priests and your church bishops, right? They all eventually have to come under the leadership of the Pope in the Catholic Church. Right, even a lot of them that claim Protestant, they still under the authority of the Catholic Church.
Even Islam.
Huh?
Even Islam.
Yeah, Islam and Catholicism is tied together.
Yep.
They all tied together. Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. All one.
Then there's the geometry. At Saturn's North Pole, astronomers discovered something that should not exist. A six-sided storm, a hexagon, vast, stable, and strangely perfect. This isn't poetic metaphor, it's observable, measurable reality. That same hexagon, when flattened and mirrored, becomes the six-pointed star, the hexagram, the Star of David, the Seal of Solomon, a powerful and ancient symbol used in esoteric traditions to bind, to contain, to seal. Occultists refer to it as the Black Star, and when rendered in 3 dimensions, the hexagon transforms into a cube.
So when you see people wearing a 6-pointed star, right, it's just telling you that when you break that down into 3 dimensions, you end up with a cube, which is why you see people within Saturn worship wearing the 6-pointed star. They tell you that's the Star of David, right? Or the Seal of Solomon, right? And if you look up different occult symbols, you see that symbol is prevalent within occultism. But you see a lot of our brothers claiming to be Israelites today wearing that same symbol. And it's because, like I mentioned before, what a lot of our people believe they're doing in truth is really mimicking the very people who stole our identity. The people who stole our identity, our people have mistakenly thought or believed that the Most High allowed them to keep our heritage. They didn't steal the heritage. They tried to mimic it. They stole our identity and they tried to mimic the heritage. When the Most High caused Israel to be separated from the heritage, that was pretty much the end of it until the Most High restores it. The Most High, that heritage is a divine heritage given to the people directly from the Most High. No other nation lived that heritage.
So you mean to tell me that land over there is actually Jerusalem? They would have been kicked out of there, like us.
Wherever the
Is that part
land
of the heritage?
it said the land will keep her Sabbaths. You know, when it said Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, you know, that could go a couple of ways. Some people believe it's talking about the people. You know, some people believe it's talking about the land over there. In any case, we know that what our people today are doing religiously is really mimicking the people who stole our identity. They stole our identity and they counterfeited our heritage. And what we're doing is we're now operating within the counterfeit, thinking that we're keeping our heritage, and we're really not. The Most High is allowing it for this time. Just like I told you, he's operating in many ways and in many facets. It's like these religions. Treat them like they institutions. Learn what you need to learn, then move on. You see what I'm saying? If you're a part of a camp, an Israelite camp, get what you need to get out of that organization. Right? But we see that the 6-pointed star broken down into 3 dimensions turns out to be a cube. So when you see people telling you that the 6-pointed star is the Star of David, it's David's signature, right? You know now that that's not accurate. That's not true. The 6-pointed star is an occult symbol. All right. That can be translated into all other false religions in some way, form, or fashion. In Islam, it's the cube. You see what I'm saying? Fair use.
Powerful and ancient system, when flattened and mirrored, becomes the 6-pointed star, the hexagram. The star.
So the cube, when flattened and mirrored, becomes a hexagram or a 6-pointed star. And you can see that. You know, my kids, they have a lot of these little shapes, and you can kind of see that to a degree. If you take the cube and put 1 point at the top, 1 point at the bottom, you can see the dimensions and how you can make a 6-pointed star out of those dimensions. So it's letting you know a cube flattened, right? It translates into a 6-point star, and the 6-point star in its 3rd dimension is translates into a cube.
T.I.R of David, the seal of Solomon, a powerful and ancient symbol used in esoteric traditions to bind, to contain, to seal. Occultists refer to it as the Black Star, and when rendered in 3 dimensions, the hexagon transforms into a cube, the same shape as the Kaaba, the Philosopher's Stone, the alchemical prison of matter. In symbolic systems, the cube is not just a container, it's a cage, an object that reflects stability, but also limitation, the perfection of form, and the loss of movement. Saturn, in this context, becomes more than a planet or a mythological figure. He becomes the silent architect of the physical world's laws. His symbolism shapes not only temples and rituals, but calendars and culture, even language. Saturday is his day, the final day of the week, the reset before the next cycle begins. But perhaps the most unsettling aspect of all this is how little of it we notice. The perfection of form and the loss of movement. Saturn, in this context, becomes more than a planet or a mythological figure. He becomes the silent architect of the physical world's laws. His symbolism shapes not only temples and rituals, but calendars and culture. He
said he becomes the silent architect of all the world's laws. So in other words, he's working behind the scenes. All right, he's working in the shadows. Most people, majority of people do not know that this is the God that's behind pretty much every false religion, every false system, right? This is what is rooted in this worship. How we're the system of control, you know, how we vote, how we go grocery shopping, how we interact from day to day, by the means that we interact is all controlled by this system, this deity. And this is how they keep control. You know how they say, you know, the eyes are everywhere watching. Well, we know the Most High's eyes are watching. So if we know that the Most High's eyes are watching, they have to mimic that in some way, form, or fashion.
Yep.
So what do? They give us devices, right? They monitor us in public places, facial recognition, and all these different things. It's all a means of how the system operates, how we're being controlled, and how we've been deceived into worshiping the idols of this system. Any thoughts, bro?
I
Great.
had something and then I forgot. But I will mention it in the at the end of the live.
Okay, this almost through.
Okay.
Even language. Saturday is his day, the final day of the week.
Notice it says Saturday is his day. So the God that controls this system, it says Saturday is his day, the final day of the week. In some parts of the world right now, in some countries right now, Saturday is the first day of the week.
And what's the Jewish Sabbath day again?
It's Saturday,
Okay.
right? Our people by default, because I'm telling you what it is, you know, it's the zeal. When I first came into the knowledge, learned who we was, I started keeping Saturday by default. Right? It's the seventh day. But then, you know, the Most High has a way of opening up your understanding, and it makes sense. We're living in a system that's void of counsel of the Most High, void of truth. Why would we believe, and how can we prove that this system is in alignment with what the Most High did from the time of creation? Because that's what he did with Israel. When he brought Israel out of Egypt and he established them, put everything in order, he was bringing them in alignment with a system that he started from the creation. So he pretty much instructed them, and they were supposed to fall in line with a system that was already in effect from the time of creation. But Saturday is his day, right? And we recognize Saturday within this system as the Most High's day, right? Let me see. I think that's it on this.
The reset before the next cycle begins. But perhaps the most unsettling aspect of all this is how little of it we notice. The rituals continue. The symbols surround us. The archetype persists. But the awareness is gone. Saturn has become invisible by becoming normal. Saturn is not absent from our lives. He's everywhere, hidden in plain sight.
So that was the end of what I wanted to deal with. So it's basically telling you that this deity is pretty much in. All right, my fault. I don't know if y'all heard that, but it's just pretty much letting you know that this idol, this deity, is pretty much over at every aspect of our life in ways that we don't even realize. Most people don't realize it. So what that tells me is that most people do not realize what worship really is. Because of Christianity, because of Islam and Judaism, we don't understand what worship really is. Church service is just a recharge for us to continue in the worship. The church service is not the actual worship. The church service is where you go to be indoctrinated, you go to be recharged, because the worship is carried out throughout the week. See what I'm saying? And I'll even change that. The church service is the worship, but that service is divine to recharge you to continue the worship throughout the week in ways you don't realize. See, and at the end of all that, you bring your money at the end of the week. You see what I'm saying? That's what it's designed to do. It's subtle. It's to keep us blind and numb to the fact that we're living in a system that's controlled and ordered by something. And that something is what the Most High said we will be under as a means of our curse. He says Saturday is his day. Right? So he has a day, a set day. It didn't even mention Sunday. That's why a lot of brothers and sisters might get upset. But I said we're all aware of Sunday worship. But I even said that Saturday is even more deceptive than Sunday. Why? Because if you're not aware and understanding of the system that we in, all you got to do is look at this calendar. Saturday is the seventh day of the week. Right? It's the seventh day within this system. So when you read the Bible and you see the Most High say that the seventh day is for rest, by default, you're going to automatically assume Saturday.
And what did it say? What did the beast? What did it say? The fourth beast would do? He would think to change times, the laws, and
Yeah. So this is just to make us aware, all right, of what we dealing with. When you go to church service on Sunday, I know you feel like the Most High know your heart, but understand what you're doing. You see what I'm saying? When you go to the mosque, understand what you're doing. When you go to the synagogue, understand what you're doing. Understand who you're serving. You see what I'm saying? Understand that by default, the Most High said these things would happen. So anything worship-wise, that's the vein you in. Because we're ordered to serve the Most High according to how he instructed. Anything else is something else. And it's outside of that. It's going astray from the Most High. That's why when you read Jubilees, he told them to observe the Passover according to how it's commanded, and not to keep the Passover in any place other than where he chose to place his name, because doing so would mean that you're going astray. Going astray from the Most High. Being in this captivity, the Most High made it to where we not only would be forgotten, but we would forget everything about who we are and everything about our heritage. We don't even know if where our land really is in alignment with where we are now season-wise. Because he said you will forget the seasons. You understand what I'm saying? So this curse was a curse, a spiritual curse embedded in our people to cause us to forget and be forgotten. We wouldn't remember nothing until the Most High woke us up. And see, we, even with the little bit we do know, we don't have no sense. We learn a little something, then we want to run out on the street corner and start cussing everybody out. Instead of just simply ministering to our people. Ain't no wrong with being out there. Why not? Why you can't just be out there and address your people? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or we condemning each other because, oh, you don't got on fringes. You see what I'm saying? Or your beard ain't long, so you going to hell. You're a 2/3 Negro. Or you don't believe the 12 tribes chart. You see what a little bit of knowledge do? And so I see why it is the way it is. And that's why y'all hear me say often that I believe that even a lot of our brothers and sisters in Christianity still, the Most High preserving them. Because, you know, it's about timing too. It's about timing. You see what I'm saying? Some people, you can't wake them up at the wrong time. You can't wake them up before they time. You see what I'm saying? Some people can handle, you know, you might think, man, I'm going to sleep for this long, but if something happens, you got to wake up before then. Some people can handle that. Not everybody can handle that. And we see that. Now a lot of the camps are being challenged now. And I knew this would happen. But the Most High work, you know, I just want everybody to understand what we dealing with. And this should, and like I said before, this is to cause us to be more lenient and understanding toward our people in general in this captivity. Whatever you think you know, it's by the grace of the Most High that you know it. And only that, because it ain't because you're smart, it ain't because you're bright, or you just so spiritual that the Most High chose to deal. You know, Israel is the chosen. And so any Israelite now who find it in their heart to repent, you know, and ask the Most High, why we in this condition, the Most High will move. I'm a living witness to that. You will know. I'm telling y'all, man, 3 days from the time I asked the question, I had a full
Your sound cut off. Brother E.
My bad. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I just got
My bad. Can y'all hear me?
something happened with my computer. It just reset all of a sudden. I don't know. But in any case, man, you know, I just wanted to put that out there. hopefully, people who had a wherewithal to hear can apply this and understand, where we're coming from. Um, all the Abrahamic religions stem from one form of worship, and they all tied to one deity. That's had hidden himself in different ways within each of these religions. And so, anything worship wise, like I said, you find yourself doing, question it. You see what I'm saying? And question the whole aspect of it, the day, the reasoning, you know, and like I said, man, this just to help our people, don't get discouraged in the awakening. Whatever days we can fellowship and meet up on, take advantage of those days, because the Most High did say we will be waking up. You understand? So definitely take advantage of that, but be aware, be mindful. What's going on. When the Most High says something, what is he really saying? Because he does things in simplicity. Right. And that's one thing Christianity and all the religions kept us away from simplicity. The simplicity of salvation, redemption, who Christ came to die for, all that, we've been given a Christian understanding. But by the grace of the Most High, we finding out that these things ain't true, and we opening up to the truth. And hopefully, brothers and sisters can see this is true. Y'all got anything?
I just want to say one thing about like how you mentioned earlier how the different ways that they monitor you, like through phones, even calls and all that. But yeah, um, but it's a wonderful time that we're living in because we're seeing these prophecies unfold and Yah's judgment is pouring out. But it's also sad, and I pray, and I still pray that all of us will like wake up to this. And I personally believe that all of us will wake up and see the system and these religions that they beat us into or beat into our community for what it is. But yeah, that's my final words. I just want to say, Israel, stay prayed up, and yeah, shalom. Love y'all, brothers. Shout out to Brother E, Josiah, Kadar, Sons of Elohim, Sons of Judah, Yanakota, and Yash. Shalom to y'all. And appreciate the great work that y'all put in.
Hey, thank you, bro. Praise y'all. Glad you brothers could come on, man. Josiah, you got something?
Oh, I got one more thing. Denise Wells, that's one thing I didn't know. She had mentioned about how they were going to make Sunday church law mandatory soon. So I don't know if y'all peeped that comment, but yeah, that is they're finding multiple ways to keep us from waking up to who we are.
Yeah. Interesting to see how that's going to work out.
Yep.
uh, Josiah, you still there? Yeah, it is late, man. It's almost going on midnight in some places, but it's going on 11 p.m. I definitely appreciate y'all, fellowshipping, spending the time. Um, go ahead and subscribe to both the channels if you haven't already. Um, who is that? The t-shirts with Sister Kimberly. Let me see. I think I have her email. But what I'll do on the next live, I'll post it. I'll post the email. And that way, everybody who interested in the t-shirt can reach out to her. Remember, as far as the shipping and handling, I think she's saying that for those who order a shirt, you have to cover your own shipping and handling. So just be mindful of that. Who else? Shout out to the brothers, man. Brother Kadar, Brother Yash, Son Judah, Yanakota, Negroes only. Shout out to all them brothers, man. Who else? Trying to make sure I cover everything. But that's about it on that. I want to do another live. On the next one, I want to deal with another critique of salvation being for Israel only. And in this video, it's going to really deal with the scriptures and the talking points that Christians use to justify the error in their belief. So I really want to look at them scriptures, show what those scriptures are trying to convey based on Old Testament leading up to New Testament, which is how we should be dealing with the record anyway. So that'll help a lot of people, I think, especially people now who trying to come into it, may have questions. That's part of waking up, having questions. And so I just want to make sure we on this end are equipped and efficient enough to deal with questions and concerns people may have to the best of our ability. But it's only to help. It's only to help. We only your brothers in the truth. And where we can help, we will. So that's that. Check out trueebry.com too. Trueebry.com. I want to thank y'all in advance for that. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and shut down. I'm going to give all praises to Yah Almighty, the Elohim, the King of Israel. Shalom to you, brothers and sisters, once again. May the Most High continue to be with us. Be safe. See y'all on the next one. Shalom.
Shalom.
Where our people suffering. They're looking for something to look up to. They're looking for a change. I know. Mm-hmm.